Ladies, gentlemen, children, welcome to Talk to Doctor. My name's Eddie and I'm with Derek as ever. The Bucky to my Steve Rogers, is that obscure enough? Should I maybe say my Battlestar to my US agent? Yeah, that's properly niche there. But today we have a man who is, as you can probably see on screen, he is a doctor from the University of Leicester. He has a fellowship from Preston University, and he is also a doctorate from Edgemouth Uni. So he's a doctor twice over, as well as being the doctor occasionally. Ladies and gentlemen, Jon Culshaw. Welcome, Jon.
Hello there. How lovely to speak to you, Eddie, and your viewers and listeners.
An absolute pleasure to hear from you. So this, as we say, is an absolute geek fest today, just to discuss for a wee while about your love of Doctor Who, and it is an absolute love. I saw you on Mastermind a while ago. I got every answer right as well, by the way. I was urging you on there to do your Jon Pertwee. It was fantastic. But so how, where does your love for Doctor Who start? Where did that begin?
Well, it was the aforementioned Jon Pertwee. I must have been about 3 or 4 years old, and I remember so vividly those stories, such as the Sea Devils, the Demons, the Claws of Axos, and I can remember watching them just absolutely transfixed in a way that we're all familiar with it. You never turn back. The love of the show stays with you forever from those moments on. And the tantalizing fear, an enjoyable kind of fear that tests your mettle and bravery. You can face the Sea Devils and the Axons and the Master because you know your mum and dad are making fish fingers and chips in the kitchen 2 rooms away. So you enjoy that fear and the vivid storytelling. You never turn back. And I remember it so well.
Yeah, it's the Sea Devils for me. I remember watching them. I can tell you very specifically, it was a repeat of the Sea Devils because the cricket had been cancelled due to rain. And I'd come home about 3 o'clock and the Sea Devils won. It was the Master escaping and the hovercraft at the end. And I thought, that's the programme for me. And absolutely. Yes. So you
could almost imagine. You could think it was the Sea Devils' plan. The cricket shall be stopped. And then it shall be a plug for us.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how that stuff sticks with you. I mean, I've one of my earliest memories is watching Destiny of the Daleks, where the Dalek comes crashing through the wall, just because it scared me so much at the time. I was there the next week watching what happened next.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, that way of just hooking in the imagination of the viewers. I do love the Sea Devils. I hope that if I was Doctor Who showrunner, at some stage I'd give the Sea Devils a wonderful story back. And I think at some stage the Doctor or his companions should come across something about the size of an ostrich egg. And they're thinking, what on earth is this? What on earth is this? And then hatching out of it, a newborn little Sea Devil. A little Sea Devil hatchling, which they could look after and sort of become a companion. That's what I'd do.
Yeah, that'd be quite cool.
Idea. I don't know whether you know, Jon, but last year, the rumour is that the episode Praxis, which was about pollution in the sea and what have you, that allegedly had Sea Devils in it and they were written out at the last minute. I think they were filmed. I might be wrong. I might be absolute nonsense, but apparently the Sea Devils were meant to be in last year and they were written out at the 11th hour. So we might
really?
Yeah, apparently.
I wonder why they would have been written out. Maybe it was just some contractual thing. Who knows what it could be?
But I think the rumour was there was an issue with the costumes or something.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, that was apparently the thing. So from Jon Pertwee, we've got to Tom Baker. You know, you are you're world famous for being Tom. You know, so when Tom comes along, I probably, like everyone else, you think, who's this guy? I don't like him. I'm not having that. And then 10 seconds later, you're like, oh, it's the Doctor. So were you the same?
Yes, exactly. I think we all remember our first Regeneration and all of the emotions and reactions that go with that. I was heartbroken to see Jon Pertwee go. I didn't want him to go. He reminded me of my own dad. in a way. And the Brigadier reminded me of my Uncle Richard. Joe reminded me of my older sister's friend, who they'd meet up with and go for a drink on Friday night, who he had a massive crush on, your sister's friends. And Benton and Captain Yates were sort of like your cool elder brother who owned a motorbike. And yes, to see, the head of this family, if you like, Jon Pertwee, go was heartbreaking. And then
Tom Baker booms in with all of this eccentricity. And at first you think, well, I'm not familiar with that at all. Oh, that's not me at all. No wonder you didn't recognize me. To use the lines of my predecessor, yes, very good first lines.
But then you just get the sense of that the newly regenerated Doctor behaves erratically, and then it settles down. And then you get the sense of this new life, different kinds of eccentricities and profound characteristics and traits. And you think, okay, I get it now. Now I get it. And then by the time the Pyramids of Mars comes along, stories like that, you're fully in your stride by then. And you learn to welcome in the new doctors. I suppose being the Doctor is a bit like being a former US president. Past president, you're always the president. A former Doctor, you are always the Doctor. That stays with you forever, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've got 13 or 14 people can claim to be the Doctor. 14, I suppose. You count John Hurt there as well, and you've got, what was it, 45 presidents, 46 presidents now, isn't it? So
yes,
so it's not too bad.
It's catching up.
Yeah, and it's a bit similar, we had Jodie comes in, who's a controversial, different type of Doctor, a bit like Trump's a very different, controversial type of president. So there's a lot of parallels there. I never thought about that before, but absolutely the case. So when you're playing Tom, because you've played the Fourth Doctor, as well as just doing an impression of him, and impressions and acting are those are different things. Last night I was just listening to your audio of the Sontaran experiment. It was absolutely just coincidence. I just had got an audio and I went, oh, John's on that. So I listened to it last night, and you're not just your impression is, it's second to none. It's better than Tom, but I think Tom said that as well, you're not just doing a voice, you're acting as well. Where does your head go with that? That must be quite a complicated place to go with that. Would that be right?
It's nicer to get deeper into it with an audio book, and the audio novels that Big Finish are doing now. It's nicer to get deeper into it, to really let the character settle down and stretch out. And different to a comedy sketch where everything's exaggerated, it's a bit like a bank job. You get in, hit the punchline, and out again, and then on to the next thing. It's lovely to just really settle down and really groove into it and just let the story be told rather than hitting the punchline all the time, which I love to do. I'd always want to do Dead Ringers for as long as they'll let me, but to explore this other rhythm.
And to get I remember watching these stories when I was a child, and well, ever since, really. We always keep our childhood imagination, don't we?
And so to deliver that in the audiobook form, where you get different nuances here and there, is a joyful thing. Love doing that. Love doing those.
Am I right in thinking that you've played the Fourth Doctor for Big Finish way back in 2006? There was a kind of cameo in The Kingmaker, wasn't there?
The Kingmaker, yes, there was a little moment in there. That was a Fifth Doctor story, written by Nev Fountain, one of the Dead Ringers writers, and a great pal of mine. And he wrote this, there was a scene in The Kingmaker where the Fifth Doctor hears a tape, something he's recorded himself.
And of course, it's an earlier self, yes. And it's the Fourth Doctor that the Fifth Doctor hears.
So yes, that's a nice moment in there. Around about the same time, there's an extra on the DVD of the Pyramids of Mars, which looked at, I think it was an edited out scene or a deleted moment in some way or other, something relevant to the story. And myself and the wonderful Liz Sladen enacted that, which was that was around about the same time as the Kingmaker. So yes, it was wonderful to participate with those.
And you're carving out a bit of a niche for yourself now with the Brigadier. That seems to be kind of, you know, I vaguely or kind of briefly spoke to Nick Courtney quite near the end of his life. I was doing a book and for the 50th anniversary, and I was trying to get an interview with him, and he wasn't well enough, but he called me to apologise that he couldn't do the interview. And I heard you do an impression of him, or a performance of him, I should say, you know, recently with Sylvester, and it's an older Brigadier, you know, but you know, so that's for me that's the genius that you could do, where you can do like the young Brigadier who's with Jon, and then you can take it all the way up to you know, Nick. And it was like, listen, because I was listening on earphones, and it was like the time I spoke to Nick, it's spine tingling to hear it. So where do you go with that? Because that must be quite a difficult process to go from a young voice to an older voice.
Yes, it's wonderful how the Brigadier has this arc of time, and he has many incarnations and selves too. They're all him, but it's all in these different periods of his life. And just as you point out, the unit Brigadier in the 1970s, come back at once, Doctor. Very much, no, I do not propose to ignore the matter. He's at his full speed there. And the first time I ever recorded the Brigadier was in the Five Doctors audiobook. So here we have a 1983 Brigadier. Yes, more reflective. Yes, I can't tell you how much I was looking forward to this reunion. That voice is maturing like a fine old whiskey. And then by the time of the battlefield Brigadier, yes, that's even more reflective then. And he doesn't need to be dashing around at the full pace of unit quite the same, but he enjoys a sense of reflection. And this is where I was seeing quite a friendship with the Doctor settle in. And I recorded the Brigadier quite recently alongside the Ninth Doctor, which was a thrill to do. And Christopher Eccleston is dazzling as the Ninth Doctor. Wow, it's so fantastic to hear that again. And I can promise for all fans of Doctor Who and the Ninth Doctor, he delivers everything we could possibly want. It's quite moving to read the scenes of the Brigadier with the Ninth Doctor, and the sense of the sense of friendship that comes from that. Once again, it's a different facet to the Brigadier, and that's the joy of the character that Nick Courtney created, the depth and the different sensibilities that have played out over all this time. And I just try to be as faithful as I possibly can. You know, we've watched these characters all our lives, and you do feel quite protective of them. So you want to do it just the way he did it.
Yep. And
have the character in new stories, with new characters, for new audiences. I think that kind of writing is a wonderful tribute to the power of the characters they created.
Yep. There's a lot of debate. There's a lot of debate, you know, about whether other people should play, you know, those iconic characters. For me personally, I think even the performance of the actors have become iconic now. So, you know, when you get someone like David Bradley's been playing the First Doctor recently, you know, and doing a brilliant job because he does it with love, you know, and when, you know, I think one of the first people to maybe do like the first Peter Purvis, and both Peter Purvis and Fraser Hines have done the first and second Doctor, you know, in kind of more kind of a kind of audiobook style. But when I spoke to Fraser as well, he would slip in and out of Pat Troughton, you know, and it's extraordinary to hear. But the thing that comes across with yourself, you know, and the other guys who are playing, you know, iconic characters. Obviously, we've got Sadie now playing Sarah Jane. You know, that's your daughter. You know, you're not going to get better than that. You know, and I think everyone in their planet wants Sean Pertwee to some point play the Third Doctor. You know, it's
has to happen. It has to happen.
It's a no-brainer, you know, and I think he's up for that as well, you know. And I remember, again, I keep name dropping here, but I can say drop more than yourself. But I spoke to Sean way back years ago and asked him about playing the Doctor, and he says that he quite fancied playing the Master. He thought the Master would think that was funny to look like the Third Doctor. You think that? And
Yes.
You know,
Yes, that's a great story idea.
mm-hmm.
That's exactly what the Master would do.
Mm-hmm.
Just find out what the DNA configuration of a particular Doctor's self was, just as a curator said.
Just the old favourites, eh?
Well, Tom's another one, isn't it? That's got this arc from being 1974, Tom Baker straight off the block to the curator. You know, as Tom is a very old, considered elder statesman of the series.
Yes, exactly. Wonderfully doctorly, and yes, you could perfectly imagine that as regenerations go on into the far future. Once you've gotten past the can only regenerate 12 times conundrum, which seems to have been dealt with.
That, yep.
I always think that, you know, solar eclipses happen in the Saros cycle, where there's a sort of a pattern and a sense of movement that links solar eclipses together. Maybe regenerations can work in a similar way, where there does come a point where a similar biological DNA configuration will just revisit, and you get a little that could perfectly be part of the wider arc of the regeneration process. That would be a lovely thing to explore.
There's been rumours of Matt Smith or David Tennant, particularly those two, because of the popularity, coming back and playing the Doctor again, you know. And I think, I know that both of them, I wouldn't particularly say no straight away. I think David's more reticent to play it permanently again than Matt, but I think Matt would jump at the chance to be the Doctor again. And it'd be interesting to see, you know, whether their take would be the same or whether it would be slightly different, or whether they would maybe think, well, I did that and I didn't like it as the other Doctor. Let's try it as the 14th or 15th Doctor. It would be interesting.
It would be very interesting. There would be subtle differences, I'm sure, as we probably hope there to be.
Yep.
But yes, it's a wonderful thing to come back and to revisit. I'm sure we'd love to see them.
Do you have a favourite era? Is there an era of Doctor Who that's just yours? Are you the Golden Age? You Hinchcliffe? Can I myself?
Oh, I do love that era, the Gothic horror era of the Philip Hinchcliffe time. I'm so drawn to the Jon Pertwee era, the Third Doctor's era. It's the one that I remember seeing first. And I think it stays with you for that reason. The way the Third Doctor was so paternal, so heroic, and in the click of a look, knew exactly what to do. Do as I say. Back slowly away behind the car. Straight away, he'd know what to do. So you felt safe with him. Mm-hmm. He guided you through it.
If you ever got the chance to play the role, was that how you would kind of take it?
Oh, wow. What a question. Wow. Gosh. Yes, I think that influence would certainly come in. I'd want to bring in a bit of gravitas to the Doctor that Jon Pertwee brought, that sense of enigmatic alien quality that Tom Baker brought to it. And a lovely sense of wisdom I'd be drawn to, rather like Alec Guinness's Obi-Wan Kenobi. He had a stillness and a great wisdom to him, which I think you'd build that up over all of these millennia that you've lived. So yes, that's where, my gosh, I'm sure that will never ever happen. It's the sort of life I would like, to just visit anywhere in the universe at any point in time of its existence. But yes, my goodness me, if that golden phone call came in, that's where I'd take it. An alien gravitas, a benevolent wisdom, but with a dash when it was needed.
Well, rumour has it the job's going in the job board shortly, so.
Well, gosh, who knows? There's so many rumours, isn't there? So many rumours saying it's already cast. So many. There's always the rumours, always the speculation. It's part of the fun.
Yeah,
it's part of the meteor showers before the total solar eclipse. You know.
I've heard a very interesting name that I won't do publicly. I'll message you privately. The very, very interesting name that was put forward, and if it's true, I'm extraordinarily excited about it. But I won't say it on a public forum. But I'll definitely let you know.
Yeah.
I wonder if you should. I wonder if you should send a little text, say now, and then I'll react into the camera appropriately.
Very good idea.
Let's get a sense of this anticipation.
Well, he does that. I know
Yeah.
the Doctor roles, one of these kind of like really kind of golden roles, but there has been a trend of like slightly older kind of male companions with like Bradley Walsh and
John Bishop.
And John Bishop. So would that be something that would interest you as well?
Oh, that'd be fantastic. I think perhaps to play another Time Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Another Time Lord with those, enigmatic names that they have. The
Medlin Monk.
Yes, those lovely one-word titles. But to be an ally of the Doctor, and to to be a sort of I don't know, just sort of work out what to do over a galactic whiskey at some point of the galaxy, watching a red giant rise in the sky from the surface of a benevolent, habitable moon somewhere.
I'm convinced Perkins, who Frank Skinner played in The Mummy and the Orient Express, was a Time Lord. Convinced. But it never came out. But I sent you that name. Just
yes, I'm just turning off airplane mode. Deactivating airplane mode. Standing by. Right, let me see if I can. Oh, the thing's flitting around everywhere. Oh. Okay. Ah. Oh.
No. I know.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Now there is somebody who wouldn't take any nonsense.
Exactly. That's what I thought as well.
But as always, just a rumor. But that would be a good choice, I think.
It's a growing rumor. It's definitely a growing rumor.
Yeah, it would certainly be somewhere where the character's never really been before.
Yes,
and there is a responsibility to be different, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's not a character like Sherlock Holmes or I don't know, Tarzan.
Mm-hmm.
David Tennant once alluded to that. There's a responsibility to be different. It's not like Sherlock Holmes or Tarzan, where there are similarities. You really got to be utterly different.
Mm-hmm. I think when I watched Capaldi, I think he nailed it with regards to being different, but also, I mean, there was every now and again he would just say something. You went, "You're doing an impression of Tom," and I know he was. And he told me it was. So every now and again he'd do that. Oh, I think I can't do it. I don't embarrass myself. I'm doing it in front of you. But he would do that thing, and I actually think he says the words "Mummy" and the Orient Express in Tom's voice, and then runs out of room, and you go, "Oh, come on, that's superb." It's as if they're all in there somewhere, just kind of.
Yes,
and
that's what a lovely thought that is, that occasionally triggered by certain situations, certain moments, sparingly,
yes,
no more than 5 or 6 times through a series, but you could have a
really,
or oh no, whatever it might be, just little strands print through of the DNA, flickers past.
So I've got a very generic question for you now, because it is a geek fest more than anything else. Favorite author, favorite writer, favorite monster, favorite episode, all those kind of things.
Oh my goodness! I do love the writing of Terrance Dicks. He had this fantastic sense of all the beats that a story should hit, all the traits that a character should have. I love Terrance Dicks' writing. Robert Holmes as well. I've loved recording the Big Finish stories recently. Elizabeth Miles, who wrote The Grey Man of the Mountain.
Yep.
Trevor Baxendale, who wrote Terror of the Master. Simon Guerrier and Sophie Isles. There are some wonderful writers just smouldering through now. And when the script, pings through on one's tablet or lands on one's table, if it's been posted, it's like Christmas morning. You can't wait to get at it and start taking it in.
Favorite master then? You've played the master, and you've played Ainley, you've played Delgado.
Wow, yeah. Well, I love Roger Delgado with that ominous brooding that he showed, and just that sense of evil. It changes the atmosphere. You can feel a gravitational wave just sort of, just shimmer through. And Anthony Ainley with his, I like to call it elegant malevolence. I love those the parallels between them. It's interesting portraying them for the audiobooks, the short trips and so on. The different mouth shape that each master requires. Roger Delgado, the master, the mouth shape goes into a triangle. I am the master. You will obey me. Obey me. It's like that. Whereas with Anthony Ainley, it's sort of talking out of the side of the mouth. The choice is scarcely yours, Doctor. So it's very, with the Roger Delgado master, you can feel your eyes. You will obey me. You can feel the eyebrows doing the work. And with the Ainley master, yes. I always watch the Five Doctors to get back into the character with that. Just to go, one of my predecessors, what makes you think I want your forgiveness? Those are the little words you say to click in.
I used to have an audio tape that I taped from the telly, like they sat beside the telly of the Five Doctors, and I could recite the whole thing, just because I'm a geek, and I loved being when I used to do the master bit. This is a very great and, may I say, a most unexpected honor. I know that, it's just extraordinary. He just chewed up the scenery. Two things he loved apparently was the mastering cricket. He didn't care about anything else, Ainley, and I think that it comes across in his work, But you done Masterful, of course. What a joy! Absolutely loved Masterful. Where were you with relation to the other actors? Because I'm assuming you weren't all in a big room, which would have been fantastic.
Well, yes, it would. But these are the wonders of Big Finish and David Richardson and the team working out all these logistics to make it fit together. And once again, talking about writers, James Goss, the flair of James Goss in his writing is just delightful. It's like solar prominences arcing off in all these directions of imagination. I love the way he rewrote The Pirate Planet.
Yes.
His adaptation of that with a gorgeous sense of Douglas Adams in there.
It's my holiday go-to every single year. I think I've told you before. Yes. My holiday every single year. I get on a plane and I put on Pirate Planet every single year. It's the start of my holidays. Not that I went anywhere last year. I think I took the bins out a couple of times. I'm not sure what's happening this year. So sometimes I put Pirate Planet on and I take the bins out and I come back in. I don't get much of it, but it's my go-to. It's extraordinary. James Goss is amazing. But I thought with Masterful, when I was listening to that, obviously you've got Delgado, you've got Ainley, who's technically chameleon, but still Ainley, and then Michelle Gomez comes in and just puts a bomb in the middle of the room. It's just extraordinary. What an episode, or I mean, for Big Finish to pull that off, it was an absolute glory, the whole thing.
It was absolutely glorious. On the day that I recorded it, it was just me and Katie Manning. Mm-hmm. She's a delightful, what a bright light Katie is. Yeah. She really is. It was us on that day. But I heard all the stories of so many link-ups, and it was lovely to know that John Sim and Derek Jacobi were together to record that.
Right. Uh-huh.
And what a gorgeous double act they made. And the whole sense of when there's a multi-doctor story, mm-hmm. Sure, they sometimes you have moments of tension, they clash, they bicker a bit, but when all the masters get together, it's utter chaos. Utter absolute chaos. It's like the custard pie fight in the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in some black and white movie. The chaos is, my goodness. And Missy steps in to be the matriarch of all that and loving it.
I've got a thing about Missy. I think she's just extraordinary. I mean, it's one of those things like, who's your favourite child? It's quite difficult to say. It's my daughter, by the way. My son will never see this. But it's kind of one of those things. But every now and again, you just think, I'm Delgado. I'm in a Delgado mood. I'm in an Ainley mood, and then Missy for some reason just comes along. And when they did the World Enough in Time, and you had the Missy and John Sim at the same time, I mean, that's only going to end one way, as you quite rightly put it. They killed each other. It's the only way to end a master story. Absolutely.
It was great to see John Sim come back in that story. Just another layer to his portrayal of the master. And those episodes, I think they just help to make a portrayal last forever.
Yeah,
really.
I thought he was far better in those. He was a lot calmer, and he had the goatee. He brought the goatee back, of course. And, that RTD wouldn't let him have. He wanted that, and RTD said no. So it was to parallel Tennant, I think, at the time. So they keep like the opposites to each other. But what do you think of the modern era of Doctor Who? It's quite controversial, I think, to say the least. But what do you make of it as an old school?
Yes, I think that Jodie is playing the Doctor in a very original and innovative way. And that sense of working things out on the spot, that kind of thing. That's a shed, Daleks, and you've just gone in it. So like that, sometimes it's like she's like an angry person from Coronation Street with that kind of, there's echoes of the Ecclestonian northernness. And I am sure if you're the Doctor, you would want one of your incarnations to have the freedom to go up that alley. So I would say she's playing it in a very original and innovative way. It does seem to attract some of the comments, but I think that's just people getting used to things. The whole story arc of the timeless children and so on. I'm wondering where this is all going up. In my mind, I haven't forgotten that it was the Master who is saying all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if this is the most enormous gaslighting thing going on.
Fingers crossed.
I think there's more. I think there's more to be told down the line.
See, I'm someone that's always been a fan of the half human angle. I would quite love if this somehow kind of ties in where she actually kind of goes to this alternate universe and meets a mum. I think that'd be quite a nice kind of swerve ball that no one would be expecting.
Well, yes, indeed. Explode the canon, as was a saying that was made. I wonder if there's something, maybe the Doctor's great grandparents or something down the ancestry has a little bit of this connection to it, and that is where the Doctor gets their urge to travel the universe from, that sense of non-conformity. I wonder if it's quite so as immediate as all of that. I wonder if it's a bit down the ancestral line, perhaps.
Kind of fits in with the loom theory of Lung Barrow. I don't know how much you know about the New Adventure book, audiobooks, or the actual novels, and apparently it goes all the way back. We could go into Gallifreyan history all day long, but apparently when Rassilon developed time travel, that was causing, and then there was a thing with a race called the Pythia who cursed the Time Lords into infertility. So they had to create a way of recreating themselves, and they loomed themselves. So when a Time Lord died, their genetic, makeup went into these looms and created new Time Lords. And eventually they created Regeneration, which stopped that. So the Doctor comes from the part of a guy called the Other from beyond the dark time kind of thing. And that's who Susan's grandfather was. So there's a story in there, and that could be, the Other could be this timeless child. That kind of makes sense. But to think Dougie Camfield as a doctor, for, you know, just because of the brain of Morbius, for me seems a wee bit kind of far-fetched, you know, because Philip Hinchcliffe has told me specifically that he's not the doctor. You know, I spoke to him about 3 weeks ago, I'm definitely not the doctor. You know, so his face is on that, and you know, as one of the Timeless Children, but
yes,
I'm pretty sure they were just guys in wigs.
yes. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, for me, the first Doctor is William Hartnell.
Yeah.
Now there can be many other orbital patterns around this that can all have their meaning, that can all thread in somehow, and these will be stories to be told. But in my own sort of heart and mind, I think William Hartnell was the first Doctor. I can just imagine Mackenzie Crook playing the younger version of him.
Yeah, good call.
Being slightly nonconformist, frustrated, and almost using. Who was it who said? Oh, no, I'm trying to remember. The discipline they served was not for me. Somebody said that. Was it in the End of Planet of the Spiders? Or was it Obi-Wan Kenobi? Anyway, it's somewhere.
I think was it Cho-Che? I think you could be right.
Yes, it was. It was.
Could be right. Yep.
Yes. We have no need for symbols, you and I.
That's obscure. Well done. So, John, what you got coming up in the future? What's happening? I'm conscious we're taking up a lot of your time. What's going on?
It's all right. It's passing very quickly. Let me see. Recently, I've recorded some Thunderbirds audiobooks, which has been delightful. Taking on the characters of Jeff Tracy, perhaps the most heroic voice ever created. So brilliantly imagined and created by Peter Dineley. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Manfred Mann or something. Dear Parker, I was recording some scenes with Lady Penelope, beautifully played by Genevieve Gaunt. And just the chemistry between Parker and Lady Penelope. Oh, yes, milady. Yes, milady. He's just so lovable, and with such nous. He's a canny geezer, is Parker. And
he was in the SAS or something years before, I would imagine. I don't know if there is a backstory, but a bit like Alfred as Batman, you know, he's got a backstory, I reckon, as well.
Yes, I think he's got an history.
You see him in Call of Duty, definitely.
Yes, exactly. So that's coming up quite soon, and we've got Dead Ringers recording in June. Happily, we'll be back at the Radio Theatre, the BBC Radio Theatre by June, and I think we will have a hybrid audience, part in person but distanced, and partially on Zoom or whatever platform it may be. So that'll be lovely to get back and just distill the week's news with a few jokes and metaphorical throwing of custard pies and tomatoes in their general direction.
Any more Doctor Who?
Yes, there's recorded the Ninth Doctor adventures recently, a little while ago. They've announced that. And yes, I've done a few others since, which I'm looking forward to. I probably can't say in that way, in that annoying way, but they are there. They are there.
Nick Courtney is slightly off screen with a big gun at the moment, isn't he? Stop me saying anything.
Yes, those are the rules, and we simply have to abide by them. Yes, splendid chap.
Absolutely. John, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for spending the time with us this morning.
It's been a joy.
It's been a long time trying to get it organised, but I do really appreciate it. We'll get you back on in the future. Absolutely.
I'm here on call. I'm here whenever you've got something to natter about. Consider me on call, and we'll link up and do all the technology what they have these days.
Good stuff. What we'll do is when the new series starts, Derek and I probably come on and bitch about it for half an hour afterwards. We'll get you on and get your reaction to one of the new episodes. Maybe the one
all part of the joy, isn't it? Part of the joy. I'm just looking at that name again.
Yeah.
That name that you sent.
Yeah, if that turns it to true, we definitely need to get you back on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, exactly.
Because we never, it could be you, John, you never know. The 13th Doctor might blaze, and then the next thing, Jon Culshaw is the Doctor. All over the front of Doctor Who magazine, Jon Culshaw.
Somebody might drop out, and they might need an emergency step in. Something like that.
Well, you'd be very flexible in the roles. I mean, if they ever needed any kind of like voiceovers or audios from kind of past Doctors, you've got you on tap.
I can imagine that. I can imagine. Gosh, if that ever came along, I did love that reveal of the new Doctor sort of mini film that Jodie did, where she's walking through the woods and takes and she does that in a rather Jedi sort of way. I can imagine an early scene. The TARDIS lands in the North Pole, at an angle. The Doctor opens the door, tumbles out down and lands at the bottom of a great hill of ice. And the Northern Lights are above the TARDIS. And then the Doctor sort of regathers his composure and strides back up to the TARDIS using the sonic screwdriver to sort of cut a little path through the snow, gets safely back, closes the door, the TARDIS dematerializes, and the effect that dematerialization has on the Northern Lights above is to just make it pulse like the Jon Pertwee title sequence, red and green concentric diamonds.
Oh, that'd be good.
That's a very good idea. Writing that down, copyright. Jon Culshaw. What's today's date? 9th of April.
I love to throw ideas at them to come up with.
Have you ever thought about writing a big finish or something? I'm sure.
I'd love to. I'd love to. I mean, I tend to think in a sort of a way. I do admire the structure that the writers put the stories together with. My way of thinking about it is to just think in terms of ideas, snapshots of ideas that could be worked in. I probably should knuckle down, find a bit more discipline, and write a proper story.
Well, when you talk about being the ideas man, Derek will tell you for the last 20 years, I'm the ideas man in Outpost Scarrow, because I come up with every idea, and I say to Derek, you'll need to figure out how to do that, because I don't know. So we've went from just being friends on a forum to being personal friends to creating the forum that we created, then all the different multimedia things that we do. And I have the idea. I've not one clue how to do it. And Derek's my ideas man, so I understand the idea of having an ideas man and a go-to guy.
It's like a perfect collaboration.
Absolutely.
That's the way things tick.
Yeah, and it's all born at the level of Doctor Who. I mean, all this is just based on one TV show from almost 60 years ago. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. The sense of possibility, the sense of limitless imagination. Fantastic.
We went to a BFI missing episode screening thing when the Web of Fear came out, but there was other things. There was like a Lulu episode which was hilarious and stuff, and some very early. I don't think it was that was the week that was, but it was that kind of thing from a way back in the day. And when we came out, a guy appeared. Derek and I were walking across the road in Edinburgh, and a guy appeared out the blue, and he went, "Psst, come here." We're like, what? He says, "Are you Doctor Who fans?" We're like, "Yep." "Have this." Shh. And he handed us a DVD and disappeared into the darkness again. And we thought we had the missing episode of Web of Fear. So we're like, oh my God. So we went home, but it was, I can't remember. What was on it then?
It was the other missing episode that they'd found at the time. The one with the fish people, and it was a trouting.
The Underwater Menace?
Underwater Menace, that was it.
Yeah.
So they'd been one kicking around the internet, so they'd obviously burned a few copies, but you couldn't write it. He literally came out a dark alleyway, handed it to us, and then disappeared into the night.
We never looked at each other like that, going, what? But that's what happens. Anyway, John, thanks very much. As I said, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll get this up on the website as soon as we possibly can, and we'll contact you and let you know when it's up. Okay.
Oh, that's terrific.
So thanks very much, mate. Everyone, thanks John for joining us today. And with any luck, we'll speak to you again very soon. We'll get you on when the new series starts in October.
And we're looking forward to hearing you as the Brigadier with the Ninth Doctor. That's just
wait.
It's going to blow minds.
Well, thank you very much indeed. I will look forward to that. Yes.
My brain's rapid.
Yes. Splendid fellows, both of you.
Take care, mate. All the best. Bye-bye.
All the best. Thank you so much. See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.